Hello folks and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to talk about, I guess, my hopes for the future of VR, the Pimax Crystal, but also I'm going to give you a bit of background of why I love aviation and VR in general, but also some hints and tips as well. So it's going to be quite a lot of information, so please pour yourself a drink and let's get started. I think we're really living in a golden age of flight simulation right now. But there's something that's always been that extra part to the puzzle for me, and that is the immersion that you feel when you're in the cockpit. And as much as it's great to have a huge wide monitor to enjoy flight simulation, there's nothing like virtual reality. And that's what my channel is all about, really, is sharing that passion for VR and the way it translates into, flying and that experience of really feeling like you're there. I always remember that first time when I tried VR, because I knew at that moment everything was about to change forever. Just the idea that a person could immerse themselves in a virtual world that would otherwise be inaccessible in real life was just a huge shift in both the gaming and simulation industry. And until quite recently, actually, the lack of clarity in VR has always left me feeling quite frustrated, especially in our use case scenario, since we need high clarity for the cockpit, to see all your gauges. I no longer want to be moving my head instead of my eyes around because of the blurry lenses. And as we all know, in a flight simulator, you need to move your eyes around constantly to check the gauges, your temperatures and pressures, and looking outside as well. This reduces eye fatigue and you have a much better experience, and you can also fly for longer. Now, like many of us, I started my VR journey with the Oculus CV1 and I loved it. I had it for about 2, maybe 3 years, and even though the resolution was terrible, it gave me that first glimpse into what VR could be. I quickly changed to a Rift S, which again was a bit better, but it wasn't what I really wanted. And then the Reverb series of headsets changed the game, or sim shall I say, forever with its high clarity. But the trouble is, with the Reverb, as great as that headset is, and I still love it, it's still got a very small field of view, a very tiny sweet spot, and the software which runs on the Windows Mixed Reality platform is, well, let's just say, leaves a lot to be desired. Of course, you've also got the Quest 2, which is a fantastic entry-level VR headset. However, things are not always what they seem, because the trouble is it doesn't have a DisplayPort connection, which means you have to run either on Airlink or a USB-C connection, which means one thing: video compression, which then makes it look pretty damn awful and totally defeats the object of having a really high-quality experience. Then, of course, you have Pimax, which entered the VR market with a huge bang, without a doubt. What they offered was truly mind-blowing, and in terms of the field of view, the Pimax 8KX offers 170 degrees horizontal field of view, which to this day has not been beaten at all. In fact, the only people that are going to beat the field of view are Pimax themselves with the new Pimax 12K QLED. But what really stood out to me with the Pimax series of headsets is that I could fly in DCS, and perhaps, a good example would be VFR flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and have a true wonderful field of view that didn't feel like it was enclosing me into something that felt synthetic and unreal. Then on top of that, you have 4K per eye, which meant the resolution was very, very sharp. But even then there was a problem, because the Fresnel-based lenses that the 8KX use, whilst very nice and actually the sweet spot is pretty decent, your peripheral vision was still very blurry, as is with every headset that uses that traditional Fresnel-based lens design. But things are changing all the time, and in fact, with the advent of the VARJO AERO, which is at this point in time the clearest VR headset I've ever used, now you can really look at those dials, and the sort of clarity inside the headset is absolutely amazing. This video is proudly sponsored by VRWave, which are a tailor-made prescription lens insert provider that correct for nearsightedness, farsightedness, and any astigmatism you may have. Now, even if you don't wear glasses, it's very important to protect your lenses and also have a blue light filter to protect your eyes as well. I have a 5% discount code. Go grab it now while it's still available. So right now we have the clarity of the VARJO AERO, which is fantastic, but you have a very small field of view, which does break the immersion. Then you have the Pimax 8KX, which has a fantastic field of view, but the sweet spot is quite small, and the clarity, well, it's very nice, isn't really quite there. Well, I'm really excited by the Pimax Crystal and 12K QLED, which I haven't tried yet, but I'm really looking forward to having a headset that has both of the field of view and clarity that we really desperately need as flight simmers. So then, what is it about the Pimax Crystal that I'm looking forward to the most personally? Well, I guess at this point in time you could class me as a VR veteran, having owned all of the major VR headsets that have come out so far. And I have far too many in my little man cave. And I think the reason for that is each VR headset caters for a specific need, whether it's high clarity, better performance, probably a wider field of view, better audio. There's so many different needs for VR users. And the Pimax Crystal seems to fit all of those needs in one headset. If you think about it, it's both a standalone and PC VR headset. It also has a really nice field of view, but also spherical lenses, which should give you edge-to-edge clarity. It has that incredible, beautiful screen with the QLED technology, which hopefully means deeper blacks. That is something that I've missed since owning a Vive Pro many years ago. I think this is a very interesting time for the community, and I cannot wait to try the Pimax Crystal because I think this could be the headset that will change the VR industry, perhaps even forever. Who knows? Now, I'm pretty sure that every VR simmer watching this will agree with me when I say that VR performance is something that is very, very difficult to achieve in most modern flight simulators. And particularly with Microsoft Flight Simulator, since Sim Update 10, there has been a number of improvements, and I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. Now, the first tip I would recommend, and it might make you laugh, is don't be afraid to turn those settings down. The experience will still be amazing as you're inside the environment rather than looking at a monitor, as you know. So there really is no comparison. And by turning settings down like volumetric clouds, as well as the render scale, if you knock that back to 90%, you will still get a fantastic image. Now, something else which is quite new in Microsoft Flight Simulator is DLSS technology, which has been added since Sim Update 10. This will give you a substantial lift in frame rate. However, this will also have an impact on the visual clarity, particularly of the cockpit gauges that use G1000 and sort of the GPS systems like the GTN 750. This is something that Asobo is working on, but for the time being, I'd recommend a slight super sample to mitigate this. Again, it's all about experimentation, and if you do change any setting, make sure that you see what the performance benefit is or isn't before moving on to something else. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Feel free to subscribe if you want to, and yeah, see you again next time. Bye bye for now.